Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome back to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Diep. Cảm ơn quý vị đã tiếp tục theo dõi chương trình Kien Thuc Y Khoa, Gia đình và Xã hội. Julie Diep hôm nay hân hạnh có được mời được hai quý khách. Trước đó là Dr. Lynn Williams. Dr. Lynn Williams là President của ASHA, cũng là Associate Dean của trường East Tennessee State University. Thêm nữa là Julie có là Dr. Bess Taylor. Dr. Bess Taylor là một cái giáo viên của trường đại học, cũng là người Department Chair của Department of Hearing and Speech and Language. Hôm nay Julie hân hạnh được nói chuyện với hai người quý khách hôm nay về Better Hearing and Speech Month. Tháng 5 là một cái tháng để dành cho nhắc nhở quý vị về quan trọng để cho tại sao mình phải cần hiểu về cái nghề speech pathology, với tại sao mình phải tiếp tục theo dõi với nói chuyện với tiếp xúc với mọi người xung quanh của mình. Again, thank you ladies for joining for me on the show today for OC Health and Education. We have an opportunity to learn who you both are and what it is that, you know, what Better Hearing Speech Month means to you both. But what I really want to know in this last segment is, what is it that you see as your identity or your purpose in the community? For me specifically, as I mentioned to you both, you know, I am very involved in my Vietnamese community. I'm very involved as an advocate and even an expert witness for children and adults with strokes and brain injuries and autism specifically. So when someone asks me what is my purpose or what do I identify with, I always say that I see my purpose being the voice of my Vietnamese community, but specifically the voice of our underserved or our disability community. So I am so excited to be your colleague and also to have you on my show today. But Lynn, what is it? How do you see yourself in this big scheme and big picture?
Julie, it has really evolved over time. I saw myself as a clinician, a scientific clinician, and then a clinical scientist and an administrator. But this year in particular, I have the wonderful opportunity to serve in this national role as the 2021 ASHA president. So I see my role now in particular as an advocate. And that's actually my presidential theme this year, is advocacy. So with that, I think there's this social responsibility to monitor and advocate on relevant issues. And we have a number of relevant issues. As we were talking about, communication is so broad. Yes. The social responsibilities include immigration legislation, legislation for particular populations like LGBTQ populations, affirmative action in college admissions, student loans, college access, Affordable Care Act, the American Health Care Act, standardized testing, disability issues, all of that. So I'm wanting to use this opportunity to advocate for these important and relevant issues to us on the wide range from recruiting students into our professions. Yes. We only have about 8% of our 218,000 members represent minority populations. So we need to do a better job in recruiting students, but also after we recruit them, keeping them in our programs, and then serving the more marginalized populations and having the cultural humility, the cultural competence to be able to do that. So I'm so grateful to you for giving us this opportunity to speak to you and to speak to the Vietnamese community so that we can reach out to more people across the country.
Well, Lynn, I appreciate you again for being such an advocate and a champion for us professionally, but specifically for all the people that we serve. I know that during COVID, issues with disparities and barriers to access, and making sure that there's more equitable voices. I think that's very important. many people don't understand that as speech pathologists, we are not just a person who tells someone how to talk, but teaching or helping someone how to self-advocate. So I appreciate you and I applaud you for all the tireless work that you have done in the field. Thưa quý vị khán giả, hôm nay Dr. Lynn Williams chia sẻ với chúng tôi là cái quan trọng về cái công việc của chị, đó là không phải là người Âm ngữ trị liệu không, mà hiện tại là as a president của ASHA, đó là American Speech Hearing and Language Association, cũng giúp cho mỗi người mà cần cái sự giúp đỡ về giúp cho học sinh làm trong nghề đây. Trong nghề của Speech Language Pathology chỉ có mà 8% là người là minority, mà mình thấy đó là không có đúng về cái không có reflect về cái người trong nước Mỹ đây, thì mình cũng rất cần nhiều người làm trong nghề đây. Thì nào có học sinh nào hoặc có quý vị thấy có con muốn học trong nghề đây, Julie sẵn sàng giúp được cho quý vị. Số điện thoại của Julie liên lạc được đó là 714 643 5321. Một lần nữa là 714 643 5321. Lynn, I was just mentioning to the audience that, you know, if they have students or kids that are interested in this field, that I would be readily available. And I shared, you know, my Google phone number for them so they can reach out to me. Is there a way that they can learn more about the field or can get a hold of you, Lynn? What's the best contact information?
Yes, and thank you for asking for that. You know, you can go to asha.org, but we are a large, complex association, so it's very easy to get lost and not know how to navigate through that website. So I will give you my email, my personal email, and if I can't answer your question, I will know who to direct you to get the answer. So my email is William L. That's WILLIAML at etsu.edu.
Thank you again, Lynn, for joining us today. Bess, I know we're closing out in the show right now, but I want to make sure you have an opportunity to tell us about, you know, what you feel is your identity and your purpose in the field, and how we can also contact you.
Thank you. I would say, much like Lynn described, that my identity in this field has evolved over time. I certainly started out as a clinician and loved the opportunity to do that. But where I am right now is I see my role as department chair as a facilitator. And my goal is to facilitate success for our students who come into the program, certainly, you know, for our faculty and everyone engaged in this higher education enterprise. But what we're facilitating here is certainly the process of education, educating the next generation of clinicians, audiologists, and speech language pathologists. But we are not isolated. We exist in a community. And in this region, there are underserved populations and some scarce resources. And so what I also want to facilitate is outreach. So, you know, we have the privilege and opportunity to get to engage in higher education. And so our responsibility is to be good stewards of our resources and to be good stewards of the needs in this region. And so our students are, you know, actively engaged in a lot of different activities in the community. The remote area medical clinics, for example, where people who are uninsured can come and get healthcare services. We are a part of that process along with the other members of the academic health sciences community here at this institution. And so, you know, that's what I see my role as now, is to, again, help those kinds of processes happen. And so it's a great place to be.
Well, again, Lynn and Bess, thank you for joining us on our show today for OC Health and Education. I'm so excited, and I really love the way Bess framed it. She says she's a facilitator for success. And, you know, a lot of times we're just thinking about facilitator for therapy and all of these things, but I love how you said that, because, you know, I think as mentors, we always want to make sure that the people that we touch, that we can help be a part of their journey to success. So I appreciate you both for being on the show today, for making sure that we remind everybody the importance of communication, about building those connections, maintaining those connections, advocating for each other and for ourselves, and also making sure that we facilitate success between ourselves. So I thank you for being on the show today, and I hope to have more opportunities to work with you and to help our field and the community that we serve, and specifically eliminating barriers to access and making sure that each person's voice is heard and is valued. Julie cảm ơn quý vị khán giả đã theo dõi chương trình Kiến thức Y Khoa Gia đình và Xã hội. Hôm nay Julie hân hạnh được nói chuyện với Dr. Lynn Williams of ASHA, đó là một người President với cũng là Associate Dean and Professor của East Tennessee State University, với cũng có thời gian nói chuyện với Dr. Bess Taylor. Hôm nay Julie có thời gian nói chuyện về Better Hearing and Speech Month. Đó là một tháng là rất là quan trọng. Về mình nói về cái quan trọng để cho mình tiếp xúc với mọi người, mà cũng đó thêm nữa, đó là mình phải làm sao mình phải hiểu được cái nghề đây. Đó là mình lúc mà mình có cái khó khăn nói chuyện, nhai nước thức ăn, mình bị Covid, mình thở không được, mình không có sức, mình phải có cái người âm ngữ trị liệu giúp đỡ được. Thank you again, Bess and Lynn, for being on today. I'm glad we had an opportunity to share with the community what Better Speech and Hearing Month is. Is there a last word you want to say to our audience?
Well, I just want to thank you again, Julie, for this opportunity for us from Tennessee to be able to talk to your community in Little Saigon in Southern California. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Ba.
Bess, any last words?
Come on, come get.
Well, thank you again. I had such a great time. Julie cảm ơn quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV đã theo dõi chương trình Kiến thức Y Khoa Gia đình và Xã hội. Julie chúc quý vị nhiều sức khỏe và hạnh phúc.